prayer book because we are. Lord be with you. Also with you. Let us pray. Ever-living God, whose will it is that all should come to you through your Son, Jesus Christ, inspire our witness to him, that all may know the power of his forgiveness and the hope of his resurrection, who lives and reigns with you in the Holy Spirit, one God, now and forever. Amen. I love that prayer. We say that prayer to our community in St. Isidore. Have an opening call. So, today, this is a presentation to Dr. Stephen Tomlinson. Are you all familiar with Dr. Stephen Tomlinson? He works at the seminary. He was actually a professor of mine in my undergraduate degree at the University of Texas when I was doing finance and economics. So we kind of got together and came back around, and we built a presentation because he's interested in entrepreneurial thinking that we did at the Cultivate conference. And we refined it a little bit, but it's actually like a 6-hour workshop. So what we've done today is we've condensed it. So we're not going to have time to go through too many introductions and things like that. I'll talk a little bit more about me in a second. But today, what we're going to call this is Eyes to See. It's participating in mission. It's eyes to see, because that's what we want people to leave here with. It's from eyes to see what God is doing already in your communities. Not what you're going to go back and sort of create in your own mind, but see what God is already doing and participate in that. And really, largely what we decided is that today is in fact a thought experiment. That we're gonna be doing some thinking, some experimenting. And that's gonna need a commitment to embrace that awkward and a commitment to do a little improv. If you know Dr. Tomlinson, it's really improv is really important for him. Has anybody ever done the improv?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so a little bit. And the main tenet of improv is actually, for this, is saying yes and get rid of the no but. So just for a couple of hours, we're just going to try to say yes and. So when people have ideas, it's yes and. Yes and. We're going to receive each other, receive these ideas, and just see where it takes us. And we might have a little fun. So my name is Steele, and I am a priest. See, I wouldn't call her just because sometimes people don't believe me when I say that. But I'm a Episcopal priest here in the Diocese of Texas, and I lead a community called St. Isidore Episcopal, which is a church plant out of Trinity in the Woodlands. And it was an R&D experiment we launched in January of 2016. We had 8 adults and 5 kids and some ideas in one community. And we now have 8 different expressions in St. Isidore that meet all of church without walls, although that's kind of changing a little bit. But we have 8 different communities that meet, and each one of those missional communities operates on its own sort of rule of life, its own sense of being, its own liturgy, right? It's got its own sort of a way that they gather. And then I gather all of those communities together around what we call offensively generous acts of service and worship. So the tagline for St. Isidore is offensively generous. That's how we understand grace. Is that grace is God's offensive generosity. And so we're always trying to gather people and be offensive in our generosity. So that's St. Isidore. You can learn more about it by downloading our app. Our website is terrible. It's been the albatross of, and so you can download the app and type in St. Isidore in either App Store or Google Play, and you can really see what we're all about. And we also have a food truck, which helps us gather. Just so you know, you might see that in some of the publications, the Diocese, or you might run across it. It's a big orange food truck that gives away free food. So we've given out over 11,000 meals already since February 1st of this year, which is a lot. Okay, so today I have a bit of background in doing this. I tell you that to say that the last 2 years I've been actively doing it, and in the 2 years prior to that, I was reading and researching and shadowing and going to conferences and trying to figure out how can we do this tradition to innovation? How can we take everything that we know and love about the Episcopal Church, including our very generous theology, our Imago Dei anthropology, which is really important, this beautiful anthropology, where we say that people are beautiful, right? And how do we take that and all of our knowledge about how to make sacred space? Because let me tell you, I mean, do we not have a lot of wisdom about how we make sacred space? Right? we take that and we go out into the world and we make sacred spaces for people? Thresholds, entry points. That's why St. Isidore is called it. St. Isidore, because the whole church is a door. So we're going to talk about that today, do some thought experiment. How can you, in your settings, go out and become more Episcopal? I said it. And I mean it. Not just more Christian, but more Episcopal. That's big. I want you to go out and I want you to say, I am actually living into my tradition, not just my faith. And go out and continue to build these robust tribes. Okay, so here's our thought experiment. So when we do this, what we notice when I talk about missional communities or building communities in non-traditional places, the first place people go is, okay, Sean, tell me the what, where, when, and how. I want to know the what, where, when, and how. What am I going to do? Where am I going to do it? When are we going to do it? How are we going to do it? You just tell me what you've done, and I'll just replicate that in my community. I mean, you can buy tons of books. There are books out there that list all. I can tell you all about all 8 of ours and exactly how they formed and what the components are. But I promise you, if you take that and you try to go to your context, it's not going to work. You can't start with the what, where, when, and how. I mean, these are really important, but that's not where we start. We don't start there. Does anybody know where we start? Where we are, but there's a couple other W letters that the 5 W's and the how. What are the other 2 W's? Why. And who. There you go. The why and the who. That's really important. The why and the who. So, for me, if we are going to go out and participate in God's mission, because that's what we're saying, right? The church doesn't have a mission. God has a mission. Church. You've heard that before. Well then, why? What is God's why? How many of you know about that? Honestly. What is God's why of creation? What is God's why of incarnation and redemption? What is God's why? And then, well, what is your why? What is your why of the gospel? Not what's your spiritual autobiography. Not why are you in this chair. For you, what is the why of the gospel? What is the why of the good news? So, that's what we're going to do. I'm going to give you a little bit of time to think about this in your tables. We have tables of, you're all, you don't talk. There, can we move you over to this table? Oh, this is a good chair right here. This is a great chair. That's a perfect view. So why don't we do the best we can to get some equal numbered tables as best we can. When we do our stuff later, we're going to be in groups of 6 and 5. So keep that in mind. That's a good number of people. And I want you all to talk for 10 minutes. What is God's why of creation and incarnation? And what is your why of the gospel? This is a really important question. God's why. What is God's why? What do you think is God's why of Jesus, of creation? Well, what are some of the things that God is in? There's no wrong answer here. This is a yes and environment. This is yes and. What is God's why?
It's wanting to.
Huh?
He wanted to.
Okay. Desire. Love.
Relationship.
Relationship. Companionship.
We also, this is just about forward.
You know,
He made this whole thing
joy. Yeah, something to do.
creation.
Fun, meaningful work. I think meaningful work, we forget that. I tell people, I think that in the garden, Adam and Eve were farmers. And I know a few farmers, a lot of work. Man, I think that the whole idea that we're not going to have meaningful work, I like that. Meaningful work.
Is that what you meant?
Yeah, boredom. Well, isn't that the antidote to boredom? Is meaningful work? Pleasure, joy.
And then there's the whole thing about creation. He didn't have something created.
He was lonely.
The beauty.
Yeah.
Creation itself is wonder. Okay.
Peace. Peace.
Peace. I love peace. What's your why? What's your why to gospel? Why to church? Not just for you. I mean, maybe it is for you, but what is it that you found so meaningful and beautiful that you believe would be worth somebody else knowing and having? What do you desire? What is your why of the gospel? Not just, let's just say, what is your why of the gospel?
Gratitude.
Gratitude. Nice.
Faithfulness.
Faithfulness.
Church.
Church?
Church.
Oh, search. Oh, search. Ooh, I like that. The why of the gospel is giving us permission to search, to move forward, movement.
You want more than one word answer?
Sure.
You find something really good and you want to share, and that's the why it's saying that it uses, because once you taste it and see it, you've got to share it.
What did you taste and see?
God,
And what did that do?
it makes you want to share that fact.
But what did it do to you personally that made you want to share?
Well, it lit me up, and I could not share.
Okay. So would you say truth or transformation? Can I use those words?
You can. I don't know what you think or to me, but yeah.
Would that be okay? Well, hey, you can veto. All right, that's fine.
I don't know where you are with the thing, but I mean, you can say this thing.
I'm usually in 8 different places at one time.
Very fragmented existence where there is no word.
Love it. Yes. What else?
Salvation.
Salvation. Okay, I think the why of the gospel of Jesus, we can say salvation. But what are we saving ourselves from? Is it fiery lake of hell?
Just trust.
Maybe. Huh?
From ourselves.
From ourselves, from trust. I'm going to argue I'm more of a classic, type. I was an academic church nerd before I was on the ground church nerd. And I'm going to argue death, right? The story, we integrate death. Death becomes this thing that we don't fear. So I'm going to say salvation, this idea of death. Right? How do we engage death? The why of the gospel is to give us a meaningful way to engage death and have an answer to this reality of death in our life. Right? And you know what I love about that is, for me, St. Irenaeus, anybody know St. Irenaeus? Right? This is it for me. This is it for me in the gospel of God's why and in my why. Sort of sums it up for me. That the glory of God is the human person fully alive. I'm going to say all creation fully alive. That the desire, the movement of the gospel is to bring life to where people are experiencing the reality of death. And the paradox that Jesus tells us is sometimes the road to life is in and through death, not as overcoming, but literally embracing and coming through. So death can feel like life, and life can feel like death. And so for me, what I'm always imagining is I'm thinking God desires for everybody to be fully alive. In fact, those are the categories Jesus uses, as far as I can tell, even when he's criticizing people. Right? He uses life and death. He doesn't say, you're bad, you're wrong. He says, you're a whitewash. You are a walking dead. And I am the way, the truth, and the life. I've come to bring abundant life. He uses lost and found too, but life and death seem to be the more paradigmatic categories for Jesus. So for me, when I'm thinking about doing mission, when I'm thinking about what am I participating in, I'm participating in God's sort of work, what God is doing in the world of bringing things to life and making things more fully alive. What do y'all think? I love it. I love these answers. Every single one of these is right. Desire, love, relationship, companionship, support of meaningful work, joy, peace. Our why is coming out of gratitude, our faithfulness, right? That's what confidence means, by the way. Confide, with faith, doesn't mean strong. That's comfort, conforte. Confidence means with faith. We go out to search salvation, engagement of death. Good job, y'all. So we've got the why. You feel good about our whys? I think this is really important, because if you can't understand in your own life why we're doing this, then I think you're going to have a hard time doing it. If it's just because, you wanted to come to Camp Allen and be here because you like going to church and makes you feel good, then that's fine. But to do missional work, there has to be a missional impulse. There has to be the risk. We have to have the tolerance of the risk of saying that I may be wrong, but I believe without a shadow of a doubt that if you come to this community and you experience this love, that it's going to be good for you. It's going to make you more alive. Maybe not save your soul, because I don't know what that means, but it's going to make you more alive. So we got the why down. So here's another question. The who. Do we intentionally or unintentionally leave some people out of church?
Yeah.
Woo, okay, I got there pretty quick. I wonder, I hope I don't get an argument about that. Yeah. I think we do, and we have for a very long time. You know, I love church. I love traditional church. I was going to be a Roman Catholic priest before an Episcopal priest. And then, oh yeah, let me tell you, I was like an Opus Dei Roman Catholic too, right? I love use of liturgy. I got trained in Trinity. I love the bells and the smells and the dresses and the marble. I love it. I love the buildings and the stained glass. I have never felt more close to God in my entire life than when I'm sitting inside a beautiful sanctuary that reminds me and gives me a place to be transcendent. That's me. But I'll be honest with you, for a lot of people, that's not it. That's not it. That's not how they are experiencing God. Now maybe someday, but that's not where they are now. So for me, I want to take everything that I know and love about that, and I want to try to bring that out. It's not just some information. It's a way of being and gathering. So, everybody ever seen this one before?
You say what?
Ever seen this photo before?
Yeah.
Photo cracks me up. Did y'all see that laundry love video that they did? Did y'all show that laundry love video for the people out in the... Man, I'm going to show you my laundry love video. I got one made too. I was like, I got that one on my own. I'm going to show it to you now. It's on my laptop at some point. But y'all notice at the end of that laundry... Okay, now I like Jimmy Bart's a lot, and I think Vance is doing some really great stuff, but when I saw that video, I had this moment of like, whoa, man, there's something that I don't want with that. I think I'm missing something. Because at the very end, after they're doing all this great service for people, and they're putting quarters in machines and doing that, and it's beautiful, and doing all that stuff. Did y'all notice at the end, they all kind of stand off in the corner, like this? And it's just all the people from their church.
I didn't see it.
You didn't see it? Where did you get it? Oh no, it's just that. Where did you get in? Like, where is this guy get in? Or no, where is she? Like, I want to be in that. I like that. That looks really cool. Like, there's no way in. I mean, how many ago if I asked you about making me make me some church models? You'd go to that, right? Like, that makes sense. We're like unified. Some of you might turn around and face the outside. I still can't get in. So I think that we unintentionally or sometimes intentionally leave people out. It's not to say that circle isn't beautiful. I love that circle. I'm just saying that circle's not for everybody, right? That circle's not for everybody. It's for
Look, the problem is, just like I was sitting over at that table by myself, I chose to be here. I could have been at any table in here. But for the moment and the way I was at the time, it's where I was. So when you have somebody standing on the outside, there's not necessarily a problem with anybody in the room, other than that's the circumstance. So I don't really know where you're going with this.
okay. Well, let me try to get you
Was
there.
he invited in the first place?
I thought it might be.
What about this chair? Or what if there was all kinds of chairs there, and everyone was taken, and somebody came in that they wanted to sit here? I'm not saying that you don't want to. I'm just saying, what if there is somebody that is seeking that meaning, identity, belonging, hope? That's all.
If we have a way to let them
Sure.
in.
Sure. What's the entry point? So who have we left out? So if we believe this is true, you said a resounding yes right at the beginning. Who have we left out? Now we're going to move to our who's. God, the who's. We'll write who's down there. Think of your own story. Who are the people that we as a church have left out? Who are the people, maybe, from whom you feel separated, or you have a curiosity about? Who are the people that you may have a history with and it may not be comfortable with? So in your own, who are you seeing that as a church, we may have left out? Come on, what are some people? You said yes.
People who are different from us.
I think that is probably the most profound statement of the day. Winner. I think in general we leave out people who are different, but let's try to get a little more specific. Specificity is important.
Racially.
Racially, absolutely. 100% what people of color, we can put it, largely in our Episcopal Church, in our context, culturally. Criminals, without a doubt. Felons. Ooh, let me tell you, I had this idea once to do a missional community, I thought, and it was even further for me, of people that were on the sexual offender registry list, because, let me tell you, talk about lepers of our society. Lepers. Addicts, thank you.
People from other religions.
People from other religions, yeah.
People who refuse to do the safeguarding of people with children's classes.
Yeah. Who refuse to follow the policies and protocols. Man, that's a touch moment. Yes. We'll go with yes.
People that don't walk into the door.
People who don't walk into the door, but why? Why won't they? This is what I mean about leaving out. I'm going to give you a perfect example, okay, and I'll talk about this community later on. People with PTSD. If you have post-traumatic stress disorder like my father, who was a Fort Reconnaissance sniper, 2 tours in Vietnam, he was a Marine Corps drill instructor, guess what? It wasn't that he didn't like God. He just didn't like queues and crowds and loud music. And he sure didn't want people talking at him for 20 minutes at a time. So no matter what, no matter how much he wanted to go into that building, that big, beautiful building that I found so much meaning in, his body literally wouldn't let him. So he's left out. He's left out. People with PTSD. Who else?
Introverts.
Introverts. Okay, I like that.
And the disabled.
The disabled. Homosexuals. Yeah, for a lot of churches, we flat out say, yep, you can come here, but you're not going to be affirmed here. We've done that, yeah.
Anybody who's going to be a challenge or something.
Okay, people who are going to be a challenge. That's that other.
Right.
That's that other. Homeless. Yeah. I can't tell you how many people have talked to me and said, Sean, I just didn't feel like I had clothes now. Like I didn't feel like I had to close to come. What about Chuck? What happens that we got 2 families right now. My son's got special needs and so does another family, and then we have 2 people with significant TBIs that populate around St. Isidore. And one of the families with the child with autism, let me tell you.
Yes.
Like, Sunday morning, it's rough. That's a rough one. They're like, it's not that we don't want to go. It's not life-giving. So if the why of the gospel is to bring life and life abundant, make people more alive, like my Sunday morning experience does not make me more alive because I'm so stressed out with my son. So parents with children with special needs.
For some churches, it's just parents and children.
For some churches, well, let's be honest. So a little bit about one of our communities. It meets on Friday night because I live in the suburbs and there's a lot of 2-income families who are in the suburbs. And on Saturday, they're usually doing some keep up with the Joneses type sports event and things like that. I get it. I mean, they're living the suburban dream. And on Sunday morning, they're just tired. They're tired. They want one day where they can just be in their pajamas. So we do church on Friday night. And it's liturgical.
Mental illness.
Mental illness. What about people who work on Sunday? This was my one I noticed this week, because I'm always trying to, my prayer to God is, God, show me who we're leaving out. And I was in the gas station getting some coffee for one of the things that we do, and I was talking to the guy, and he's like, yeah, I have to work on Sundays. I work that late shift, midnight 1 a.m. until 9 or 10. And I'm like, there ain't a church for you, is there? He's like, yeah, no. So I wonder what would it look like to have a group of people that actually go and do church at the gas stations and the places like that on Sunday morning, like bam, 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 travel to church, go and just pray with people, bring communion. That'd be cool.
We have deaf people in our family, and it's hard to find a place.
Deaf people, good. Hearing impaired, we can go on and on and on. The truth is we leave people out, and I think that's something that we have to remember, that this isn't a matter of making church more beautiful. getting our preaching better. Right? This is literally the truth that for some people, no matter how good we do our Sunday morning traditional church, for a large population of God's children and God's people, it's just not going to be for them. Now maybe at some point in their life it will be, I don't know. I love the Triduum, and to me there's no better expression of doing that whole Holy Week service, and being there during the vigil and hearing that. I mean, that is the fittest place for me. So part of me wants everybody to go to that at least once in their life. But that might be a long road, right? So think about thresholds. What I'm talking about are where are people gathering that we can go and be where they are and bring what we know about what it means to gather and who we are as a people of God. It's not just the information, folks. It's the incarnation. Alright, so this is what I want you to think about right now. In your own life, right? This is what I want you to think about. Think of your own story, right? Who have you noticed that we have left out in your life? Then think about, and this is for you when you go back to your place. These are the questions that I want you to think about. Because God is going to ask you to participate in the story that God's been writing in your life from the beginning. Right? This isn't about going back, and this is literally about looking at your own story. Of the dozens and dozens of church planters that I've met, about 90% of them, I would say, their innovation comes from their own story. True? They thought, who have I noticed in my entire life? Who is it that I've always had a curiosity about? That for whatever reason, God, since the time, I was younger, I see this theme that God has always shown me. The immigrant folks, or the folks that don't speak our language. The veterans. People that are LGBT. Maybe the aged and the infirmed. Because we forgot, what about the vocally impaired folks that sit in, there's lots of missional communities in the diocese right now. They're going to care facilities. Mobility issue. We go to a Section 8 housing complex once a month, do a huge feed, and we do a service there. Because 80% of them are disabled. They don't have vehicles. So who are the people that, that we have, that I've noticed, that we've noticed in your life? And then, who is somebody that you may have a history with? This wasn't my question. This was a Dr. Stephen Tomlinson question. And that sounds very much like Dr. Stephen Tomlinson. He wanted me to ask you all, who do you have a history with? And it might not be comfortable. I don't know, maybe you've always been fascinated with people that are LGBTQ, but you actually aren't in a place where you want to affirm their sexuality, but you've just been fascinated by them. You read about it, you're curious about it, you just have been drawn to it. Because I can tell you, if you're spending a lot of energy on this, that's not what most people spend a lot of energy on, unless you are maybe gay, but you're living it. But if you're straight and you just find yourself being really interested in this issue and you're talking about it a lot and you're spending a lot of energy on it, well, maybe it's an uncomfortable issue, but maybe it's time to go engage and to be with it. Who knows? Create communities. That's his question. Is there a population of people that you feel like you've always been curious about and that you're noticing maybe is not in the church, or that the church isn't sort of reaching out to? Or maybe if they are, maybe we could do it in a different way. I like that question. That got me thinking. Here's the thing. I don't think that God is asking you to go to some place that God is not. So here's the thing. I think that we bring light to light. That's sort of my missiology. Is I'm not a light to dark kind of person. I don't assume that in that sort of colonial, imperial way that I've got me some Jesus and God, and I'm sure going to go to the person that doesn't have it and give it to you. So for me, as Bishop Rob Wright says, God is wildly active in the world. God is out there doing this work, and it is our job to go and participate in this work. So do you have eyes to see it? Because like I said, in Luke 10, Jesus sent out the disciples, but it says he sent them to the places that he intended to go. He didn't say, go bring me to these places. He said, I'm already there. I just need you to go and be there with me. I need you to be another incarnation, the body of Christ, as it were, to make flesh this reality of good news, this gospel. Because the Hasatan, the devil, Beelzebub, evil, it can't incarnate, folks. Cannot incarnate. I believe that. That's the trump card. You can believe whatever lie you want. Somebody can tell you all kinds of lies, but guess what a lie can't do? It can't give you a hug. But Bishop Fisher can. That's incarnation. So incarnation to me trumps that information, those lies. So we're going out and we are literally asking God to use our bones to put flesh on the work God is already doing in their lives. I love that. So y'all with me? That God is actually asking you to go somewhere and meet God and be church and build church in a place that is not in competition with the beautiful stuff that we do, but is actually amplifying and making what we do is even more of what we do? Is it possible? I think it is, and it's also awful. So remember that. Okay. So where are we? Now, if we have our why and we have our who, and you're believing me that God desires for a human person and all creation to be fully alive, and you believe me that there are people from whom the church has intentionally or unintentionally left out, that's a good place to start. So now why don't we get to the what, where, when, and how? And to do that, I like to go to the Genesis story. Because this was the first sort of act of God's what, where, when, and how of creation, right? The starting of time, the starting of matter as we know it. What do we notice about this story? How did God, what's the pattern through which God created? Seems to me, the way that God created was God spent 3 days doing what?
Building the physical universe.
3 days building. I like that. And then spent 3 days doing what?
Peopling it.
People. That's right. I like that. Peopling it. I love that. I love the word peopling and doing. I was listening to a neurologist this morning on a podcast that said that they don't believe in nouns anymore, only verbs. That they think that we have to get out of the static model. That I'm actually shawning right now. Like literally, isn't that how Christian? I mean, it's the beautiful theology because God just didn't create once. God is like speaking us into existence right now. Like God is saying your name into existence. So we're shawning, we're peopling, but peopling it, populating it. Seems to me that God spent 3 days sort of building a container, and then 3 days of populating it. And I think that's actually really important. Why do y'all think that's important for what we're doing? I'm not going to talk again until somebody answers. Yeah.
You have to have a good foundation in order to build and create.
Yeah. We're talking about people that are largely left out, right? Voted. So, we can't just roll up to somebody and be like, hey, you feel left out. I'll be friendly. Yeah, that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work. But you might be able to do it, but it would work for me. You seem a lot more disarming than I am. It's just true. Now, this is liturgy, right? Here's the question. Think about the place you worship. Did it just happen? I'm certain that y'all have been part of church structures for a while. Sunday morning just happened. But what's the most beautiful thing, right? Is if somebody comes and visits on Sunday morning and it feels like it just happened. How many of y'all got southern roots? Like deep southern roots? According to my wife, what is the mark of a good dinner party?
Good what?
The mark of a good dinner party. Run out of food, go there, okay. Good, okay, all these things are happening. Talk about structurally. Y'all are doing the incarnation. It's beautiful, yes, but as a hostess, what is the mark of a good dinner party? That's a better question.
Table, china, silver, can.
Okay, it's beautiful, it's there. Organization.
No, the best sign of a good dinner party is when people are having such a good time they don't want to go home.
Yes! And they don't even realize how much work you put into it. They're just like, I just can't believe this night happened. This was so great, we should do this again. And my wife's like, yeah, it happened because I put 12 hours into designing this, all the way down to exactly what plate you had. Right? For her, she wants that. She wants that. That's how she knows. Like, oh, yeah. People feel like they were a part of something. And this is what we have to recognize as curators, right? As people who are doing mission. That the work that we do on Sunday morning doesn't just happen. I mean, how many people are putting in effort? And it's not just the effort of Sunday morning. It's the effort of hundreds and hundreds of years of received wisdom and tradition that says, when we wear this color and burn this incense and say this prayer at this time of year in this event, it creates a beautiful thin space for somebody to encounter God. There is so much work in building the container. So I just want to hold up that if God spent 50% of God's time in creation building a container, then it's important. It's not just about finding the people. That's not how we do it as Episcopalians. That's not how we believe. Our tribe believes we make meaning. It's not how we make sacred space. We set apart time and space. That's liturgy. That's the work of the people. Is we intentionally build a container for people to have an encounter of God and beauty, a transcendent and an imminent encounter. And that's what we are called to do when we go out and do this. This isn't just about gathering people, but it's gathering people in a certain way. It's not just what we do when we gather, it's how we gather. And that's what makes us Episcopalian, in my opinion. So, I'll tell you a quick story. My father, I told you, PTSD, couldn't go to church if he wanted to. What he did, he would sit on the end and tap his feet like this. He wanted to get out as fast as he could. It was biological. We know this now. We know trauma lives in the body, right? So I had a heart, noticed in my life, veterans, and I wanted to create a church experience for people who couldn't come on Sunday morning. Not that they didn't want to come, they couldn't come. And what I do know is that veterans, especially my father, he's not a hero, he's a warrior. You can tell me that. So don't call me a hero, I hate that, I'm a warrior. It's true. You know veterans. It's true. So I wondered what would it look like if we built a liturgy in a church for people who have this sort of somatic bodily reality. Warrior church. We meet on Sunday mornings at 7:30. I got together with a retired captain. I got together with a retired colonel. We said, what would it look like? What do we know about trauma? What do we know about the brain? What do we know as Episcopalians and Christians about how we create sacred space? How do we have that balance? And so Warrior Church looks like this. You come to Warrior Church, and it's outside the boxing gym on Sunday morning. Little makeshift altar on crates. It's got a nice little, what's happening? What's the cloth? Portable. It's not portable, it's fine linen. It's got a little fine linen. Fair linen. It's got the fair linen. It's got a paten. It's got a chalice. And then burn some sage. Because sage is cleansing. Sage is kind of ancient traditional warrior stuff. So we get in a circle, we read a pledge. We gather in the name of God, a community of honor, integrity, courage, and selfless love. We bind together, we provide support, we protect one another. Got your 6, that's important. We burn sage. It smells. We hit 3 chimes. Ding, ding, ding. Because we've started. We read scripture, lectionary that day. Then we have a reflection. Somebody gives it, and then they invite somebody into a question. So yesterday's question when we were talking about Philippians was, where do you see God? Because how did Paul see this in prison writing this letter? He'd been through a lot. So I don't know if I believe God's there. So where do you see God? How do you know God's there? And then everybody gets a chance if they want. All 16 of the people that were there, the veterans, they get a chance to share their experience. At that point, we say, all people together say amen, and then we move to 40 minutes of exercise. Each exercise has an intention. So warm-ups are gratitude, right? If you're working your chest, the chest is healthy relationships. And we have 5 minutes of exercise with 2 minutes, and I have a certified trainer on site. The trainer's there to help people. I've got a 78-year-old retired Navy SEAL, disabled, getting up and down in the chair. We do 40 minutes of exercise, we're playing music, and we're having intentions, and we're thinking about things. And then we come back together, and we do 4 and 4. 4 and 4, folks, from the Book of Common Prayer. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. And at the end of the prayer, after the college, we hold and we silence and we beat a drum 20 times for 20 veterans who decide to end the pain of this life and hope of joy in the next. Because that's a reality for them. And we hit that drum and we remember. And then we do confession and an absolution. That's really important. Jordan. The Presbyterians have a better one for this, so I use theirs. Then we say the Our Father, and then we have a commissioning, like a dismissal, and then we eat protein bars and drink coffee. Because you always have to have a meal. And we play music. And that is church for them. But do you see the liturgy in it? And then we hit the chimes at the end. Ding, ding, ding. We have set apart time and space. And we have brought it to people where they are in an environment where they can interact. For me, that is both being church and being Episcopal. That's the kind of creativity I'm saying. You don't have to sacrifice who you are to go out and be in the world. So, we're going to get to a break here in a minute. But now I need y'all to think about, well, Sean, that's great. How did you do that? Well, there was a veteran in my life. And I said, hey, why don't you go to church? Well, I have PTSD. Oh yeah, my dad had that. Well, let's start talking. Would you be interested? Because guess what she had a heart for? Veterans with PTSD. Then we started talking about it. We said, you know what, there's that boxing gym down Rayford Road. I'll go ask that, maybe he's a Christian. I don't know, it's in the neighborhood. Yeah. I like to work out. I'm at the gym a lot. There's a trainer named Phil and a trainer named Greg. And Phil and Greg every year do a benefit to help veterans. Hey Phil, hey Greg, we want to do this thing, we're helping veterans. Would you have any interest in being a part of it? Well, you're darn right we do. So for me, I love this John 6. One of his disciples, Andrew, the brother of Simon Peter, said to him, there's a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish, but what is that going to do? I think we think, what do I have? What am I going to do? If I had a $10,000 grant from the diocese, sure, I could do something then, but I don't have anything that I could use to help anybody now. I mean, I do a lot of advertising. We have to do a lot of Facebook ads to get people here. So what I love is in this model, in this story, Andrew, because remember Simon Peter was the one who was like, we don't have enough, send them home. It would take all this time and money for us to feed all these people. I mean, honestly, he's like, oh my God, we got this. Jesus, can you use this? Yeah, you bet I can. And I think that we forget that we have, okay, so Taco Church, it's about 11 guys that meet on Wednesday morning, and it's church. I mean, it's church. And for a lot of them, they are super busy. I mean, there's some misfits here, but there's some workaholics here too, right? They're workaholics. And we would all work out really early in the morning. There's a Taco Bell that's connected to the gym. And I noticed that this group of guys in particular, they share a parking lot. I know, what weird zoning. And so I said, you guys all talk to me about God, because you know I'm a priest. I wonder what it would be like if we all got together and talked about God. They weren't going to church, they just had questions about God. Because gyms are communities, I don't know if you know that, so are craft beer bars. That's why Soul Cycle and CrossFit and craft beer bars, these are our new churches, folks. If you want to learn how to do this, look at them. They get it. And I said, hey, why don't we get up an hour earlier and we'll just meet? And now we have a liturgy. We say a calling, we have a discussion, we do a confession. We say that our Father, notice the confession is really important for me. I think we need a space to confess. That's what I'm noticing. We need a space to confess. Just say, I'm not perfect, I can't take it anymore. And somebody just say, and you're loved. So that's a theme in St. Isabel. But that was just me noticing there's a Taco Bell. It does not cost me anything to do Taco Church. Right? It was just, hey, there's a Taco Bell right here. How about we get up an hour earlier and we come over here? And then I use the prayer book. So I think we forget that we have 5 loaves and 2 fish, and that Jesus can use that. So